wait for Kodrin? No,
We can start.
Okay, our first presentation for the day, it's going to be about technology in IEP education. How can IEP students be approached with technology? So before we talk about technology, and as it is called assistive technology, I want to define what assistive technology is. Technology has great potential in providing access for all learners through the use of a variety of assistive technologies. Students with disability can have the ability to access the general curriculum. When assistive technology is appropriately integrated into the regular classroom, students are provided with multiple means to complete their work. So what is assistive technology? So any item or piece of equipment or product, system, whether acquired commercially, modified or customized, that is used to increase, maintain, or improve the functional capacities of a child with a disability. That is the definition by the Assistive Technology Act, the AT, Assistive Technology. A lot of times, we think of assistive technology as only the customizable things are very specific. But as you can see here, they have really broken it down to lots of different types of equipment. It encompasses no-tech, low-tech to high-tech devices. It may also mean generic technologies used for students with a disability. So it may also mean generic technology used for students with a disability, and most often that is what special education teachers use as a reference for that definition. On the screen, there is a picture box that says assistive technology. And there are different types of equipment in that box, including phones, hearing aids, personal listening system, a braille device, and specialized computers. Okay, so now we're going to talk about assistive technology continuum. Assistive technology starts with no tech. Most people do not think of in this realm. They always immediately go to the really complex devices. But assistive technology really is across the spectrum. So no tech can be simple modifications. They are inexpensive, ready to use, affordable tools. These are things that you could purchase yourself at very cheap stores. So, highlighter marker, large rubber bands, anything that you can purchase on your own to modify something can be, you thought of as not up. The next one is low or high tech. Low or high tech, sometimes it's referred to as, well, would be less sophisticated. These are devices that are easy to learn. They are readily available. They don't take training or much to learn how to use them. And they are very affordable. This could be some sort of a toy that you just pop in a battery, for instance. Next one is medium tech. Sometimes is referred to as mid-tech. So these are items that might cost more, and they do require some training. They are going to be relatively complicated mechanical devices, but not so complex that it would take an ongoing training. And on the high end is our high tech. When we refer to it, people think, oh, it's complex. It's a communication device. It's a designated device. It's going to be expensive. So these are going to be very advanced technology. They may need specific ongoing support and training, and they can be customizable. They're going to be digital, they're going to be electronic. You are not going to see something that isn't electronic deemed as high-tech. These may require a specific therapist to work with you to learn how to use them. For instance, especially speech and language pathologists who has trained in augmentative and alternative communication, or AAC. They may need to work with you on a communication output device. We are using AAC, augmentative and alternative communication, in another project that we run, and we started this year. Its name is Accessible Culture, and our goal is to make people with difficulties, students with difficulties in learning language disorders, to be able to see visit a museum, and when they visit the museum, to be able to read easily what they're on display. Each of the partners is cooperating with the museum in their area, and we will pilot and put in where there are the letters of what they explain there, to make it using technology technology, AAC. Let's hope by the end of the project I will have some results which I can also use in this project. Highlighter markers is an example of non-tech tool, which is very cheap. A lot of us use highlighters to just highlight things that we are reading, to draw attention to it, so that we don't forget. But when we are using highlighters for assistive technology, this may be the difference for a student who has a processing delay, or difficulty with reading, or difficulty with dyslexia, or much that if you highlight certain aspects, that helps them to focus. There's also a lot of individuals with dyslexia, dysgraphia, that can read better or process things easier if they are in different colors. So even colored paper can be used as a non-tech assistive technology tool. Another example of non-tech tools are pencil grips. These are really easy to help. Someone who has a fine motor, the difficulty, sometimes even larger pencils, with a pencil grip really helps children who are having a hard time writing, so that they can easily hold those pencils. Low-tech tools, low or light tech tools, are items that are specifically used for assistive technology. They may cost still low cost, but a little bit more than the non-tech. They may require a battery. So on the screen, we've got a blue stand board. Stand boards can be used for individuals who have low vision, so that the information is actually brought closer to them. It can be used for someone who has a fine motor difficulty. It can be used for children who are in a wheelchair, that have a tray so that it's easier for them to ride. So this can be used for a lot of different things. They can be used for students with attention deficit disorder. So if they can't sit still and can't sit to complete their work, they can be allowed to grab a slant board or a different clip board, so they can still do their work and walk around the classroom as long as the work was getting done. So these are simple fixes that we can do just to make a huge difference. In the center, there's various switches of different colors. A switch can be connected to toys to answer a question, and we can switch, activate a lot of different devices. It only needs a battery and pretty simple fix. On the right, there are guides with clear, different colored windows. And again, for someone who has a reading disorder, delay, dyslexia, they can use this just to help them keep their place in reading. On the bottom left, there is a highlighted raised paper. So this paper has raised lines on the solid lines and on the dotted lines throughout the middle. And again, can help students who need occupational therapy or have some fine motor difficulties. In the middle, we've got a weighted vest. Anyone needing some sort of grounding or sensory input, a weighted vest can really help a child or student who just needs that grounding. And sometimes it can mean they only wear it for a short time and they can take it off. And finally, on the bottom right is a communication board. This is a symbol board. It can be made on your computer. It can be laminated for longer use. And any picture that maybe a child or student is using on a designated communication device can also be transferred over. This is for students who possibly do not use their voice to communicate. Or even if they do, a lot of times, if a child is in distress and they are having a really difficult time finding the words to communicate, a communication board nearby can really help someone who has oppositional defiance disorder, or ODD, or tantrums, or is in a moment of distress. These kind of boards can be used as an alternative. Mid-tech or medium-tech tools are a little bit more complicated devices. They are going to be a little bit more expensive. They may require some training in order to program them and to teach your students how to use them. Again, they are probably going to be battery operated, but they may need to be charged. So they may come with a plug. But again, they are going to be things that are fairly easy to learn. We're the person teaching someone how to use it. And so here on the top left is another example of a big red switch. And that could have a voice output that can be changed when needed and can be connected to other devices to operate them with a simple push. Top right is a switch activated toy. On the bottom left, you might have had a speaker, say, when you were a child, where you pull the drawstring and the spinner spins around and maybe hits on a farm animal, and then it will say, the cow says, or something to that effect. These can be adapted to teach vocabulary. gameplay. A lot of students, especially on the autism spectrum, play is not something that necessarily comes naturally. And so you're teaching specific goals by using assistive technology. And on the device, there's various pictures around that are holiday themed. And in the center, there are numbers on a dice. And so you could use this in conjunction with an actual dice that you roll, or a student that may need some support could just use this, and whatever they land on, whatever number die they land on. That's what you would use. So just like a fun little way to incorporate assistive technology. And on the bottom right is something called a GoTalk 20. This is for someone who would need a speech communication device. They can be changed. They usually come with multiple seats that you slide in and out on the side, on the side. And when the button is pushed, whatever button they push, there is a voice output. So if this is a device that doesn't have a lot of programming capabilities, it's fairly simple. There's volume control, there is an on-off switch, and it does require to be charged. This can help especially younger children who are just learning to communicate using a communication device. Now we will see some examples of high-tech assistive tools. When we mention high-tech technology or assistive technology, this is kind of what people assume. These are all more complex devices here. Smart home technology. Things that are going to cost a lot more money. They may not be able to be purchased off the shelf.